okay? So there is something that we have to talk about, and that something is... Hey guys, it's Jess, aka What's on Her Face, and welcome to today's video. It is like officially fall in Switzerland, you guys, and I'm wearing a fuzzy sweater right now, and oh my god, I feel so happy. It is awesome. So there is something that we have to talk about, and that something is all of the ABH releases in the past 2 months. So before I say anything else, I have to say that I have never actually tried ABH products before. So everything I'm saying is based off of like how I perceive their stuff aesthetically as it pertains to these launches. So if you love their formula and you love all the palettes that have come out, that is super amazing. And we are obviously all entitled to our own opinions. And let me just emphasize, everything I say is my opinion and it is not meant to offend anyone. So please do not be mad if we have different opinions. We are more than able to coexist happily and peacefully. So basically, I've written down a list in my notes of all the palettes, when they were announced, when they were launched, and then like photos of the palettes for my reference. So I'm gonna start by basically going through everything and like talking about the dates that they have been announced and launched, because I just think it is so fascinating when you see that, especially coming from a brand like ABH. So we're gonna do that. And then we are going to dive into the tea. But before we do any of that, please make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a big fat thumbs up and turn on that bell so you can be the first to know when my shenanigans hit the tube. So now let's start talking about these products. So the first thing that launched us into these 2 months of ABH craziness is the Jackie Aina palette. So she is the original ABH style palette that we have come to expect. 14 shades and she retails for 48 bucks. The first promo video was announced on August 4th, and then she was set to launch between August 6th and August 17th, depending on if you live in the US or international, or if you're ordering on their official website, or if you are like going to a retailer. Then we hear about the Norvina Volume 1 palette. So this is revolutionary for ABH because it is now 25 shades for 60 bucks. She was announced on August 20th and set to launch September 26th. So that's like a little over a month after the Jackie palette launches. So now here's where it gets a little bit bizarre. Almost a month after the announcement of the Volume 1 palette, we have the announcement of the Volume 2 palette. So that happened on September 17th, and she was also set to launch on September 26th, which is the same day as the Volume 1 palette. And then a few days later, we have the announcement of the Volume 3 palette, and she is also set to launch on the same day as the other two for the same price. All three of them are 60 bucks. Now, welcome to October. We have yet another ABH announcement. They have collabs with Carly Bible. That was announced around this week, and that is almost exactly 2 months since Jackie's palette was announced on August 4th. And now I know you don't think that is the end of the ABH releases, sis, because the day that all the Norvina palettes launched, they also launched glitters. Sis, these glitters are $15 for 5.4 grams of product, and I think we are going to start spilling the tea right now, right here on these glitters. Now, I get that ABH is a high-end brand. I totally do, but what I don't get is, are glitters not glitters? Like, what I mean is, I totally understand wanting to buy like a high-end eyeshadow palette because formulas in eyeshadows can be very different, and when you are paying more for a high-end brand, you are increasing the chances that it will be like nice to use and like blend well and all that kind of stuff. Plus, often the ingredients used in high-end eyeshadows like could be better and like less irritating to some people. So I totally understand that, but I don't really understand like how glitters are necessarily different. Like maybe someone can like let me know if I'm just like dumb, which could be totally true. Like maybe there's something about like high-end glitters that is like so much better than lower end glitters, and like maybe they're worth 15 bucks. But like the thing is this, I buy all my glitters from indie insta brands and they are freaking like awesome. Like I have no irritations and like my eyes are kind of like sensitive, and they cost, are you ready for this? Less than $1 for a 5-gram pot. Okay, so you're spending $15 for a 5.4 gram pot, when instead you could really get 15 different like styles and like colors and like all this kind of stuff for the same price from an indie Instagram brand. So like sis, like if you're looking for glitters, just like comment down below and I will give you a bunch of discount codes you can use. I will like point you to the nearest sale. Like it'll be great. All right, so we are gonna end that rant and move on to palettes. So the first palette to launch, as we said, is the Jackie Aina palette. Now sis, this palette got an infuriating amount of hate that like literally, like, is everyone okay? Like, it got so much backlash for no reason, sis. Like, it is overall a nice palette. And when I see a new palette launch, I ask myself 2 questions. I say, one, does this fill a void in my collection? And two, does this fill a void in the market? So let's start with one, shall we? This palette obviously does not fill a void in my collection, and like it does not really appeal to me personally because I prefer brighter, vibrant colors, like not everyday wearable kind of stuff, and this palette is definitely everyday wearable with a few pops of color. Now with that being said, as for the second question, the answer is absolutely yes, sis. When Jackie was announcing the palette, she said that she created this palette with darker skinned gals and guys in mind. Now that means she left out all of those like super ashy and super light like shades that a darker skinned person just can't get any use out of and doesn't necessarily want in their really expensive high-end palette. She created a palette for people with darker skin, and that is amazing because this is a part of the market that is way too often overlooked. So why she got backlash for creating a palette that is meant for people who get so little representation in the makeup community is beyond me. Whew, that got really deep, sis. Sorry about that. So in conclusion, for the Jackie Aina palette, she will definitely be cute for people who want like, you know, a glam moment, but also have an option for those pops of color. So we're gonna move on. So we are gonna go through each of the Norvina palettes. So there's really not much that I can say about the first one other than I just don't really love it, not my vibe. It's a nice fall palette, I guess, but all of the shades just seem pretty easy to me, and I don't know, nothing seems just like super special. There's like a hot pink in the corner that's nice, but like it's like aesthetically pleasing, but I could never justify this color story for 60 bucks. Next! We have the second Norvina palette, and this, I feel the completely opposite way. I fucking love this palette. I think she's so gorgeous, and like literally my heart like goes out to this palette. She's so pretty. I also appreciate that there's only 2 browns and the rest of the palette is like very consistent with vibrant like funky shades. If I'm being picky though, which let's be real, I always am, sis, I don't really understand why they chose kind of like the most basic colors for shimmer shades. Like why isn't there like a bright blue shimmer or like a navy duochrome shimmer kind of situation? Like why do we need a bronze shimmer and then like a nude at the top? Like like that is a little bit confusing to me. Sis. But other than that, I really like this palette in general. She really speaks to me, and yeah. Now we have volume 3, which is the last one of the Norvina palettes, and yeah, she's cute. Like she fascinates me, but she also disappoints me. So like I love the aesthetic of it. She's super cute. Like the orange palette is really nice, and like the pops of green are everything, sis. I also think she definitely has the cutest arrangement of shimmers out of all of the palettes. However, sis, she has so many browns. There are so many browns in this palette that mama's pissed. Like I cannot spend $60 on that many browns. Like I am so sorry, but it is a no for me. Also, I don't know if this will be helpful, but I was watching this YouTuber, her name is Abby Williamson. She rearranged all of the Norvina palettes to kind of put them in a color order that makes most sense for her. And for me personally, I am so down for like the chaotic chaos for the chaotic layout, because I don't know, I just think it's really inspiring. But she put them into this order, which I will include somewhere. And I don't know, I think it really can help you get just a different perspective on the shade range. For example, it made me like even more disappointed in the third palette, even though like I'm like I kind of like her, but like when you see how many browns, like sis, ouch. And it also made me love the second one even harder. Also, something about all 3 of them that I want to say is that I really do not like this naming system, sis. Like Norvina mentioned that she did this so that it would be easier to kind of tell people what shades you're using. I don't know, something about like making it easier to identify shades. However, I kind of disagree. So if I'm like watching a tutorial and someone says they use like A3 and like C2 and like D1, and then I'm going later to recreate the look, it's so much easier to mix up the letters and numbers and like completely forget what happened, and then you have to go back and watch like the whole last video again. You see what I mean? Like I feel like that doesn't make sense. Like imagine if someone said I used shades Butterfly, Gemstone Valley, and Mudslide. Then that is like way easier to remember later on when I'm going through the shades. Like, oh, okay, so she used like Butterfly, Gemstone Valley, and Mudslide, you know? These are much easier to remember and to identify later on than a number-letter combination. Do you know what I mean? Plus, another reason that I really dislike this naming system is that I feel like a palette gets such a big part of its personality from the shade names, you know what I mean? So let's say volume 1 is probably closest to Norvina's personality because, you know, of like the whole purple thing, like Sheila's purple, there's a lot of purple. So it would have been like really cute and meaningful to have the shades kind of be different things that represent Norvina or things that she just like values in her life. Like that would be really cute. And then the third one is butterfly themed, so like how nice would it have been to have like each shade be a different like butterfly name or something naturey or something. I don't know. I just feel like that was kind of like a really missed opportunity. So in the sense of like being convenient, it doesn't do that, and it takes away from the personality of the palette, in my opinion. I would really love to hear your thoughts about this. Do you think that the naming system that they went with is helpful, or do you kind of like agree with me that like you're never gonna remember like D3, A7, and like P5, you know what I mean? Also, I know I said that 2 is my favorite, but like sis, which one is your favorite? I'd love to hear that. So like let me know in the comments down below. Ooh, maybe I'll even like make a little poll on one of these sides. That would be fun. Okay, so last but not least, we have the Carly Bible palette that has just been announced. There's really not much for me to say here. Like, you guys know that this is just not the palette for me. However, I do think it really represents Carly's style very nicely. I think those bluish silver shades at the top are relatively unique, so that's really nice if you're going for like a smoky vibe. That could be really gorgeous. I like that there's a red. I think that's also on the unique side, but other than that, it is just like a neutral palette with some kind of muted pops of color, if you will. I can imagine this palette being really nice for a lot of people just because it is definitely everyday wearable, and even the shimmer shades that are like nice are not like super crazy. I'm looking at the palette right now. Wow, like that like lavender one just like screams Carly. So yeah, no, I think the palette did a great job like embodying her, and so if you like her style, you are gonna love this palette, and let us out on that. So in conclusion, these are all the palettes that have been released or announced within 2 months of each other. Says that is insane. That is 5 different ABH palettes. I think my biggest confusion with all of this is basically that I always viewed ABH as like a very exclusive brand, and all of their launches were like very like anticipated and exciting. Like I really always considered ABH as kind of like a collector's brand. Like people love to own every single palette, but with all of these launches, I just do not see how that can happen, because like I feel like they used to launch maybe let's say 3 a year, so people would have enough time to like, you know, save up the 45 bucks or whatever and then like buy it. But now like there's 2 $45 palettes launching within 2 months of each other, and that is, I don't know, I feel like that can't be enough time for a lot of people to be able to afford it. And I know a lot of like influencers nowadays are saying like just because there's a lot of launches doesn't mean you need to buy everything, but for a lot of people, like collecting these beautiful eyeshadow palettes is a hobby, and at the end of the day, like people want to feel included. And a lot of the times when everyone is talking about all of these gorgeous palettes, and like nowadays so many people are on the PR list and everyone is getting these palettes in, like the average consumer is gonna want to have these palettes, and I don't think we should blame the consumer for just wanting to kind of feel included in this crazy big world of makeup. You know? I don't know, I just think it is confusing that they launched 5 palettes within 2 months of each other, especially as a brand where people love to have every palette. Now Norvina did also say about the Norvina collection itself that she wanted to launch all 3 kind of at the same time because she wanted people to choose like their favorite, because each palette is distinct and has like a very specific kind of personality to itself. But I just don't really think that is how the ABH consumer views their palettes. Does that make sense? Can you guys like let me know if I'm just like completely like wrong here, because maybe I don't know anything, but like that's just kind of always how I thought about it. So that is why I'm just like so confused. But let me know your thoughts in the comments, and also let me know if you bought any of the palettes, or if you are planning to buy the palettes, or if you are not planning to buy the palettes because there's just too much at once. I want to hear all of it. Alright, we have gone through everything, and that means we are done with today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys!